Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, who is my daughter and co-host.
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we've got a great show today because our guest is so energetic and so fabulous. But before we introduce him, I wanted to remind people that our new book, Open to Love, The Secrets of Senior Dating, written by myself and my partner, Frank Powers. The book is about dating for those of you who are ready to get back in the game after a loss. We've got a lot of tips and information for you. We've gotten some great reviews. We've got it on audio tape and Kindle. Frank and I read it on audio tape. 100% of the proceeds for this book go to the Open to Hope Foundation with our mission of helping people find hope after loss. Okay, Heidi, you want to introduce our guest today?
I would love to, Mom. So we are going to be talking, like you said, about embracing life after a long-term loss. We are talking with someone who has been a big part of the Open to Hope Foundation for a long time. Ron Villano is one of our Open to Hope writers. He keynoted at our virtual conference, which is online, so you can go look at him at opentohope.com. Ron has done so much. He has been on our podcast. He has been on our cable shows, and he does it as a tribute and in honor of his son, Michael, who coincidentally died at the same age as my brother, 17 years old, in the same way, in a car accident. Ron is a licensed mental health counselor. He is the founder and director of Family and Personal Counseling, which offers both in-person and telehealth sessions throughout New York State. He is a national speaker. He is the author of The Zing, which I love. His newest adventure is the founder of Long Island Authors. And, you know, Ron is a great example of how you can find hope after loss, Mom. So welcome, Ron.
Oh, thank you for having me again. You know, I love being with you guys because I like the mission. The mission we all have. We're not in it for a dollar bill. We're in it to try to help somebody have a better life. And I love your mother's book, Dr. Gloria, there's book, because I like to talk to people a lot of times. You know, yes, I lost my son, Michael, and that's a major to me, the biggest. But there are people have many different variations of losses. So somebody loses their job today. Somebody's spouse says, I'm not going to be with you any longer. Somebody loses their pet, whatever it is. But your mom's book encompasses, I believe, so many different facets of loss. Because there's always love. We never lost our love, you know, for whoever's not here, right? Because that's why
I
we're
like
here.
that, Ron.
Yeah. So I get excited when I see that. And what I admire about your mother is I love people, which I don't know. I never had this conversation with, but I believe she doesn't believe in age or time. We woke up today. We're born today. This is the day we have. There's no other time. You can't bring anything in it. You can't bring tomorrow into it. We're all born, I believe, today. So I love what she's doing. Never think, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that, because we all know one thing for sure. We don't know the next second. And we live where we lost a 17-year-old. I lost a stillborn. He's buried as well. So my brother lost a 6-month-old baby, you know.
Wow.
So many. And we've seen so much, all of us. So to me, I love that your mother's telling everyone on this set, you know, listen, we don't have to be down. We could grieve, we could be sad, we could be all these things, but we shouldn't have any guilt.
Ron, that's why I love you and what you do, is because you talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yeah, take us a little bit on your journey for our listeners.
I was there with so many other people who are listening to us, what they've went through, because as soon as you hear it, I mean, for me, and Heidi knows this as a therapist, you don't believe it. And I don't even call it denial. I just don't believe it. You know, it's like mesmerizing. And I was shot. I mean, depressed and down for probably 10 years for me. I couldn't do anything. And I'm kind of a story of Job. I lost everything I owned, basically. I couldn't really work. I was really like just stuck. I mean, losing my son, I couldn't control it. I couldn't get him back. No one could help me, you know, basically. And I went through a lot of stuff. I'm a very spiritual person. So the spirituality came back to me. And that's how I got answers. I'm a big Bible reader, me. So I would read, you know, and everything else. And the scripture that got me one day was, you know, you have to go through the eye of a needle. And if anyone reads the Bible, it's the camel has to get through the eye. And in order for the camel to go through this like kind of tunnel to get through, they had to take all the baggage off him because he couldn't fit and squeeze him through. And it hit me. I was trying to get through these things, but I was stuck and blocked because I had stuff on me. And it finally hit me this one morning. I said, wait a minute. I got to just take all this stuff off my back and see it from over here instead of carrying with me. And once I did that, I got through there. And I'm telling you, it was an epiphany. I mean, I went from, I'm not joking, within seconds, I went from despair to jumping around. I got to back up and say, wait a minute, you got to see all the stuff you were carrying, especially once you take it off and you take the time, because I didn't just take it off. I wanted to assess what was on me. So I did the work for another couple of years.
When you had the epiphany, it was 10 years?
It was about 10 years later, yeah, after
I
losing.
want people to know that. I mean, we're talking about embracing loss after a long-term loss. You and I know, Ron, and so does Heidi, there are people who keep part of that pack on their back forever.
Mhm.
They never assess, what they're carrying. What do you think carrying some of it, did it do something for you? Was it a connection to Michael? Why do we do that?
I think first off, it was more ignorance, didn't know it was on me. And the second part was, it wasn't just Michael's stuff on me. I believe Michael was the camel that broke the camel's back of many other issues that I was stuffing. So when I started looking at baggage on me, it was Michael blessed me in a way. I know it sounds, off, but he blessed me to say, wait a minute, Dad, it's not just me. You have a lot of stuff. You've been being dragged down for years prior to me in your life, but you didn't see it, because every one of us can carry a certain load, right? Some of us carry heavier loads and lighter loads. So, and when this happened, I say it's the camel that broke the camel's back. And my life just, I'm telling you, it was like euphoric. It was unbelievable. And I love nature. So I sat in front of a tree in front of my house for about 2.5 years. Every morning I go out, I sat, and the tree, I believe the trees speak to you. I don't mean words, but spoke to me. I have a very spiritual connection with trees and leaves to me.
EMDR was started because Shapiro went out for a walk in the Bay Area and saw the leaves moving back and forth. And that's how she developed her whole theory. So what you're talking about is your personal EMDR out there in nature, watching nature. So, what came up for me when you were talking is the idea that we grieve like we live.
Yeah, good one. I mean, when you talk about therapy, like, I'm also a certified clinical hypnotherapist, so I work very hard on that and how to do it. I like to think of myself as someone who creates relaxation for someone more than getting into the ooey, hypnotizing you, because people freak out. I don't want to be hypnotized, but you can relax me. So I'd rather use that phrase. When you relax somebody's mind, and that's what I started doing, learning how to calm the mind, because the mind starts, the obsessive thinking, the compulsiveness, it starts to go. Once you learn how to stop the mind. But I tell everyone, this whole thing, let go and let God. Well, that's a long road from let go to let God. There's a lot of work. And I want everyone listening not to think that they're less of a person because they're not there yet. It took me a long time and a lot of inward thinking and getting to know myself and who I was, who my family was. And I did a lot of writing and a lot of different things to get myself from one step to the other. It didn't happen.
So Ron, it sounds like hypnotherapy, this is interesting, can also help.
It takes you there. So if you're doing hypnosis with, say, a person knows what they're doing, they can take you there by you allowing them to. No one can take you there without you being allowed in hypnosis. You don't say anything that you don't want to say, whatever. But you want to get to the unconsciousness. You want to get there. So, but you have to do it kind of like, I don't know if you've ever done the psychosocial techniques, where you start to get people really to go inward and start to know who they are and get back. So do they want to get back to, say, where the accident was? Well, sometimes they don't want to get back to there. They really want to know why that happened. How did you take this nice, handsome little guy driving his car? He wasn't bothering anybody. Why him? That type of thing. And you're a sister, you're a protector. Anything you could do to bring him back, I guarantee you, your mother, sister would do that in 5 seconds. But in hypnosis, it calms the mind down. When our mind is, as a psychologist, as the mind's spinning, I think of it this way. If you had a fan going and you want to throw something in it, it's bouncing it out. So if your mind's spinning, you can't get the thoughts in. It's constantly bouncing them out and you're stuck with what's in there. So what I do is I teach them how to just slow it enough so we can start. And then I try to teach also, you can't just let any thoughts in. You have to be careful what's coming in and who's giving you the thoughts. I have a thing called the 30-day fix. And in 30 days, and this is really sticking my neck out, if they follow this plan I have, guaranteed by 20 to 50%, their mind will be calm and their lives will start to look differently if they do what I ask them. And what I ask them to do isn't paying to come to me or paying to go to you. This is something they do on their own. And if they want to do it, it's very easy.
You know, one of the things I want to talk about for a minute, Ron, because this is what I'm hearing. You and I know that when we see clients, and now particularly out in the world, people are talking about post-traumatic stress. Oh, they've got post-traumatic, everything's post-traumatic stress. But what they forget is something that I think you're bringing up, which is post-traumatic growth, how we grow through these experiences.
Yes. Well, I always say, and Heidi, you guys know this, I always say, when I lost Michael, he took my life. Now I say he gave me life.
Wow.
I see anybody as a dollar bill. I don't see anybody. This isn't a marketing tool to me. When I do my practice, listen, I always say, if God didn't give me any more today, he gave me too much, just to be happy. If I was in a 1-bedroom apartment, I just want joy. You want joy in your life. So to me, I look at it and I say to people, listen, honor your loved one's life, right? By living yours. So by me living my life, it blows people's minds and they go, wait a minute, I just heard you lost your son. They go, yeah.
Right.
I wouldn't know that. I said, well, why do I need to wear that? I said, I don't need Michael to bring me sympathy or make you feel bad for me. You want to know something? I'm here. I can tell it to you, but I wasn't always like this. And the number one thing, Heidi and Gloria, that keeps me going, keeps me off the little edge, a lot of times, believe it or not, is working out. I go to the gym, and if I feel a little down, I'm in the gym a few days a week. And it honestly, I don't know what it is. It's like a magic tool for me. Out of everything I do, I get a massage, it helps you during the week. You do your meditation, you have good friends, I have all that stuff. But when I go to that gym, I come back out 2 hours later, like there was no problem.
Right.
So it's like the endorphins and those kind of things kick in, it sounds like, and help you to heal and help you to feel good.
Yeah. And you're getting healthy at the same time, you're helping yourself at the same time.
I walk every day. As I'm older now, I don't do as much gym work as I used to, but you can always go out for a walk, and I'm a big walker. So
Absolutely.
And a big golfer, Mom.
And I golf, and I also do yoga.
But she also has a personal trainer. Don't pretend she doesn't do a lot. I cannot keep up with Gloria, okay?
Listen, we all know her already, right? So they can't keep up with her.
Exactly.
Ron, I wanted to ask you, in your experience and just watching people and talking to people, what do you think is the number one thing that holds people back after loss from what is that?
I think it's the controlling part, that we had no control over it. When a parent sees, or whoever spouse sees anything happen to the other person, they want to step in and do something about it. And a lot of times you can, right? Well, what happened to you? Was it money? Did somebody bother you? But this was the ultimate loss of control. You could not bring Michael back. It was impossible. You couldn't bring Joey back. Whoever had a loss, whoever the name is, you couldn't bring that person back. And when they come to me for counseling, say, I tried all these people, but you're the guy I want. And sometimes I would let people just come in and see me, all right, come talk to me. And I look at them and go, listen, the only thing you're looking for is for somebody to bring your son or daughter or somebody back.
Or spouse.
Nobody's going to do that. I said, the only thing I can do for you is help you learn how to release the guilt that you're carrying, like you thought you could have saved them. Now, once we get rid of that, then you're going to be able to start living. And also, we need the guilt gone, that we as parents who lost someone or you lost your spouse, whatever, that you're allowed, once you start healing, to go out and have a good time again without somebody saying, wow, Gloria, I can't believe you're having fun and you lost your son, you lost your husband. I don't need that person in my putting those words. And if you're not strong enough, if you're not rooted in your growth, they're going to knock that tree right over like a little breeze.
Well, Ron, my mother was worried about that when she initially went out and started jogging again. She's, was very athletic. She's very athletic. When my brother died a few weeks after, she goes, I'm going to get really sick and not be able to take care of my surviving children if I don't take care of myself. But what held her back the first time is she was worried about what the neighbors were going to think.
I was sure they were all gonna look out the window and
Yeah.
say, look at her, she doesn't care, her son just died, she's out there
Right.
running. I mean,
Yeah.
really? Give me a
Right,
break.
right.
But you know, Ron, there are people who will say that. And there are people that you will judge you. And I found with loss of a spouse, I've lost some friends who are loyal to my deceased husband.
Which, and that's gotta amaze you, correct? Am I correct? Isn't
Yeah.
that like, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
Yeah.
What does it make sense? Like
In fact,
logically,
my
it doesn't
husband
make
said
sense.
to me before he died, you're going to be with somebody after I die. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. And he said, oh, yes, you will. And, you know, he actually gave me permission to move on. And then I have friends of his who judge me because I've moved on. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Or watch this, and I'll say this openly, or are they jealous that your life is going well and they're stuck in the life that they've been covering up, masking? Because, you know, with it, people with money, say finances, have things, they're good. They know how to, they have things to cover them up. Somebody without it, you know, like my mother was using cooking. I'm going to cook you, Italian mother. They use always something. So for you, living your life and not listening to those people, first off, you're honoring your husband's wishes to me. Why would he love you in this life and not love you to have a good life forever? Right? That's how I look at it, for real. I think that's
Well,
the ultimate.
and like you both said, you're going to lose friends, but you're going to gain friends.
Right.
New
real
people will
friend.
come into your life. Exactly, Ron. And then if there's toxic people in your life, maybe it's not good to surround yourself, to continue to surround yourself with the toxic people.
Right. 100. There you go. Right. Great word for it. Right. Toxic. That's what it does. But I always say to people, like Abraham Lincoln said, you can only think one thought at a time, make it a good one. So, and that's why I say I don't listen to just anyone can give me ideas and talk to me, but I'm not necessarily going to allow those words from anybody and everybody coming in. And when I know someone's not quality, so they're speaking, I've got the fences up, it's bouncing off. Now the fan goes on full speed, they're gone. Because you can make a choice. We have choices, and most people don't know that. This is one thing I don't like about group counseling sometimes, because you go in a group and everybody's going through the same thing. And then this person now finally went out, comes back to the group and says, wow, I had such a great time for the first time with my husband and I. We went out, we had it. And they go, you had a good time after losing Michael? Oh my God, how did you do it? I could never do it after losing Joey. And now they're pulling them back, you know, that movie.
Yeah.
Now you pull me back in. See, so of course, a great therapist that's in a group setting, but you got to make sure they're a great one, knows how to handle that and, you know, do some proactive counseling. But to me, you have to be careful what groups you're in. I used to mix people in groups with all different issues. No one had the same issue. So this one, when somebody said alcohol, people had empathy. Wow, oh, you're going through addiction. How is that? It kind of validated the person. Oh, it was terrible. And they got to tell them. I think a message I like to get out to all you people: be careful who's giving you the counseling, who's speaking to you, whether it's a cousin, brother, somebody who else lost a child. Because you lose a child or lose someone doesn't make you a therapist. It doesn't make you a grieving therapist or a psychic. So make sure you know, because when you're hurting, right, everything sounds good, right? You're searching.
Be careful who you pick as a therapist. Interview them too. I mean, Heidi likes to make that point. If you don't get along, if you meet somebody and they don't seem like a good fit for you, then don't go to them.
I'm wondering, Ron, what do you think has helped you the most?
Help me?
Yes.
I think the biggest thing helped me again was the spirituality part. Very good support around me that I didn't realize I had till I came through that tunnel. Then I looked around, I had so many good people around me, I think the other thing was, honestly, is start to honor Michael and not have the guilt. Like I could have saved him. I couldn't have saved Michael. If I could have, believe me, I would have, but I couldn't. So once I let that go, then the grieving started.
You can't judge people's losses because say I've lost a pet. Well, if I've never lost anything but my pet and I've had my pet forever, it's a really tough loss. If I've never lost a child, it's a huge loss. If I've lost a child and a spouse, I'll have to say this about losing a child and a spouse. People ask me what the difference is, and I say, losing a child was like going to Mount Everest without oxygen. Having my spouse die was going to Mount Everest with oxygen. I'd taken the trip. I knew I was going to live. I knew I would survive, and I knew I would be happy again. And I didn't know that with my first big loss. And I think people they learn, their mind, their brain, their body, learns about coping skills.
What a great way to say that. Honestly, you make me think. Honestly, that was me. That's a great way to put it. Going up there with no oxygen and yeah, you never thought you'd come out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and mom, you could find hope again. And what I'm wondering, okay, so Ron, how long has Michael been dead? How long has he been gone?
Michael's 19. Oh boy, 25
Over
years.
20 years, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
25
so
years.
25 years. So if you could go back and today and give Ron advice early on in his grief, at the very beginning, what would you tell him?
If there's a married couple involved, I said you got to be focused now on who's around you and not stop blaming each other. And you're allowed to feel joy as a family, even though he's not there, right? Number two, I would let him know that the good news and the bad news. So sometimes I get the patient actually laughing. I go, the good news, I said, the bad news, you lost your child, right? I said, the good news, you're going to see them again. And then I have sometimes the mothers even laugh and go, oh, but I have other kids. See, she'll look at me, wait a minute. If I die, I'd have other kids. I said, exactly. And your child, if he was sitting here, if I could get Michael back, what would Michael tell me? Be depressed or go? Right? I said, what would your child say? Oh no, my child would tell me, Ma, what are you doing? Dad, you got to live. And it gives them, like you said before, all you need is a little pinhole of maybe a little bit of hope and the guilt. They have to, honestly, if you couldn't have saved your child or your husband or whoever you had lost, you should never have guilt. You could grieve, cry, be upset, everything in the world. But the guilt I found in counseling is the biggest thing that held the people back. The guilt of going to have fun. The guilt of, oh my God, it wasn't my fault. The guilt to look at somebody and not have to talk about the loss. See, that's a big thing. Some people feel they're compelled to say, oh, yeah, I lost my. No, you don't have to. You can stand proudful, walk around, and somebody comes up to you and they ask you, you can always acknowledge it. But what I started to learn, Heidi, was I don't want to hear the poor me. I let them know and they said, but how? I said, listen, you know what? Today, I appreciate you caring for me, but right now, I'm good. Let's talk about you or something.
It's an update for me. Hey, Ron, tell us about what you're doing.
Well, for us, family and personal counseling, and they could get us through you guys as well. So family personal counseling, we have 5 locations all over New York area. We have about 55 therapists, all different disciplines. So, and we do telehealth and in office, which is wonderful, but we have a great team. We take insurance and, we take same day appointments. So we're there for you. So we have a great team there. And with the author thing, if you're an author and instead of giving your proceeds to these organizations, whether it's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, where they're taking 50, 60%, we have a subscription based, it's called longislandauthors.com. You got to put the whole thing in together. And we have it subscription based for $149.95 for the whole year. You get a web page, you get hosting, you get your book marketed for the first time. You become part of a community. We have book signing events at restaurants with food and everything where you can showcase your books, and just so much to it. But if they go to longislandauthors.com, it's all there, and then we could answer any other questions they might have.
Awesome, Ron. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's so great to see you.
I love you guys. Thank you for always having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ron, and thank you so much for the energy that you have. You're awesome, and you're showing us that it is possible to have hope again and joy again. And I love following Ron's stories on Instagram when he's at the gym. Go, Ron.
Thank you again for joining us. And we want to thank everybody for watching this show today. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own. And God bless.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.